Hello everyone, thank you for watching this video. Today we are going to be demoing an Ibanez Iceman 7-string guitar. This is a 7-string guitar that I've wanted for a very long time in a style that I've never had before, so I'm very excited about this one. So you already heard how this guitar sounds in a full demo mix in that intro clip there, which was a cover of Blinding Faith by Knocked Loose. But for the rest of this video, I'm going to tell you about the specs and features of this guitar, show you a few soloed tone clips, and then last but not least, give my thoughts and opinions on this guitar. With that being said, I do want to mention that this guitar was provided for me by Ibanez. However, they're not paying for this video. They don't get to see it before it goes live or anything like that. So of course, I am trying to be as unbiased and upfront with you as possible. With that being said, let's get on to the specs and features of this guitar first and foremost. So the main reason that I wanted this guitar is obviously its body style, which is the Iceman shape. This is a shape that I've never had before and always been a big fan of because of bands like System of a Down when I was growing up. And then nowadays, bands like Slaughter to Prevail and Knocked Loose play them. So I thought it was a really cool guitar that I've wanted for quite a while, and I'm happy to finally have one in my collection. But other than the shape, let's actually talk about the features of this instrument. So first and foremost, the pickups on this guitar are DiMarzio Deactivator 7 pickups, both in the bridge and the neck position. It has a 3-way pickup selector up top there, a volume and a tone knob. This one doesn't have anything like push-pull, coil split, nothing like that. Very simple electronics. It has Ibanez's own proprietary mono rail bridge right there, and the body is made out of Akume, which is just a single piece as far as I'm aware. Moving on to the neck of the guitar, we have an ebony fretboard with jumbo frets, not stainless steel this time around, unfortunately. And moving on to the back of the neck, even though you can't see it, this is actually a 5-piece neck, which is maple and walnut, and it has a neck-through construction. Last but not least, this guitar has a 25.5-inch scale length. I know that some of you probably won't like that it's a 25.5-inch scale length, and we're going to talk about that later, don't you worry. And then last but not least, on the back of the headstock there, we have Goto locking tuners. So that pretty much does it for the specs and features of this guitar. It's a fairly simple guitar, and I kind of like it. I like the matte black finish. I think it looks really, really mean. Just metal as fuck. Let's call it as it is. So now that you know all the specs and features of this instrument, I'm going to show you some soloed tone clips. So I'm going to be going over 3 different tones. I'm going to give you a heavy high gain rhythm tone and then the HM2 style rhythm tone that I was using for the majority of that demo song. I wanted to show you both because I know the HM2 tone is maybe a little bit debatable and not everybody's thing. So I'm going to give you a tone without that as well, which is slightly more normal, so to speak. And then I'm also going to show you a very quick lead tone. No cleans necessary. This is a metal guitar. We don't need to hear the cleans, let's be honest. So with that being said, this is how the guitar sounds. Okay, last but not least, my thoughts and opinions on this guitar. First and foremost, I'm going to say it up front, I'm happy with this guitar. I like this guitar. It's one that I've wanted for a very long time. I played one for the first time when I was in Germany at 42 Gear Street back in 2022, 2022. So ever since I played it at that event, which was also my first time meeting Ibanez, I really wanted one, and it's very cool to have one in my collection. However, with that being said, there are definitely a couple of things I don't like about this guitar, and we'll get to that in a little bit. But before that, speaking more about why I like this guitar, obviously I love the body style. That might not be for everybody, but objectively, I think it's cool. In my opinion, there are not nearly enough extended range guitars that are not a standard super strat shape. Almost every 7 and 8 string guitar is always a super strat, and I'm getting really tired of it. So I think it's very cool that companies are starting to come out with stuff like this. Even though this one is a couple years old, it's nice that you have now options like an Iceman shape or a Xiphos shape, or some companies are doing Jazzmaster style ones or whatever. It's just nice that there are more options than just a standard super strat every single time. It's getting a little boring, and it's about time that extended range guitars started doing more. I'm also a big fan of the DiMarzio Deactivator pickups. I've had this pair of pickups a number of times throughout the years in a couple of different Ibanez's as well, and honestly, they always sound good. I'm always happy with them. These ones interestingly look a bit different. The other deactivators I've always had were more of like the standard open coil style that you're used to seeing on most pickups. These ones are covered, but other than that, they sound the same, so I'm happy. One of the points of contention that I know some people are not going to like about this guitar is the scale length. So it's a 25.5-inch scale, which for 7-string guitars, some people like it, some people hate it. I personally don't really care either way that much, depending on the tuning. So for a 25.5-inch scale, in my opinion, is fine as long as you're not trying to go super low. So if you're going like drop A standard, drop G sharp, somewhere around that range, I think this is perfectly fine. If you're going to drop G, it's a little debatable because you're gonna have to use pretty thick strings to achieve proper intonation, and anything past drop G is probably gonna be pretty difficult to achieve. It's probably doable, but you know, you're gonna have to thicken up that string gauge quite a lot, which can be potentially a bit uncomfortable to play. So your mileage may vary on the scale length. You might like it, you might not, but that's gonna be personal preference and what you're hoping to achieve with this guitar. With that being said, let's move on to some of the things I don't like about this guitar. Another thing that's pretty subjective, and some people aren't going to care about this, but as you may notice, I've been sitting with this guitar like this, whereas for every other guitar I have, I always sit like this. This is how I normally play. But as you can see, this guitar has a nice big pointy horn on the bottom, which looks super cool, but the problem with that is it goes right into your thigh. It doesn't hurt, but it definitely gets a little uncomfortable, and the strap pin is also underneath that horn. So if you sit classical, this guitar is probably going to bother you after a while of playing this way. Okay, that pretty much does it for this video. Again, big thank you to Ibanez for sending this guitar over to me. I personally really like this guitar. I'm happy to finally have one in my collection, and I'm sure I'll enjoy playing it a lot. If you want to get one of these for yourself, I also have an affiliate link to Sweetwater where you can purchase this guitar or anything else. Sweetwater isn't sponsoring this video, but I always like to plug the affiliate links because obviously it helps my channel a lot because I make a little bit of that sale money. There's also going to be links in the description below to the different plugins that I used in this video. Again, this video isn't sponsored by these companies, but they do help me in other videos, so I want to shout them out anyways, being Auto Audio and Neural DSP. And last but not least, of course, a massive thank you to my Patreon members. If you are interested in audio downloads, stems, or a shout out on the screen like these lovely people here, you can get all of that over on my Patreon page, which is also linked in the description below. That's all I have to say for this video. I hope you enjoyed it. I look forward to reading your comments, and I'll see you next time.